Welcome, everyone, to Intensity Broadcasting for tonight's coverage of the Thunderstruck Kiernan's Gogo Juice Mini Stock Series. Tonight, these mini stocks will be taking on Oxford Plains Speedway for 75 laps of racing action. I'm going to be your announcer for tonight's event. My name is Atlee Atmanuise, and I'm excited to call every second of tonight's short track racing action. We're in the home stretch here this season with the mini stocks. We've gone through a lot of races. We've seen a lot of great racing at many different tracks, but as we head here to Oxford Plains, there's only 2 races left, and we do still have a battle for the championship. There are 2 cars left that could win that championship, and we are watching Dylan Bates, who is your point standings leader. He's got 4 wins this season at Oswego Mini Oval, Southern National, Myrtle Beach, and Hickory. And second place, John Bennett, who has 2 wins this season at South Boston and Slinger. Now, both of them, Dylan Bates, point standings leader, John Bennett, he has 12 points behind Dylan Bates in the point standings. So, what can happen is if he finishes first and if John Bennett finishes first and Dylan Bates finishes 12th, then they can tie. If he finishes first and Dylan Bates finishes 13th, then Dylan Bates will take the point standings lead, and they will also tie if Dylan Bates finishes, or excuse me, if John Bennett finishes second and Dylan Bates finishes in 12th, or excuse me, in 13th. So there's a lot to keep track of, but there is a chance that we could either see a tie for the point standings lead or somebody take the points lead tonight. And even if he can't do it, John Bennett still has a chance to potentially narrow the gap between himself and Dylan Bates. Elsewhere in the point standings, Kiernan Church is 3rd, Aaron Abendroth is 4th, and rounding out your top 5 in points, that is Rick Rube. Now, other race winners this season include Corey Bigley. He won last week at the Bull Ring. And last week at the Bull Ring, it was a pretty clean race. Only one car, or excuse me, that was 2 weeks ago. We were off for Thanksgiving last week, but 2 weeks ago at the Bull Ring, we saw only 1 caution. But there were 5 lead changes between 2 drivers as they duked it out. One for their first win of the season, the other for trying to get their 5th win of the season. That was Corey Bigley and Dylan Bates. Corey Bigley ended up coming out on top, leading 21 of the 75 laps, including the one that counted. He started on the pole. Finishing second was Dylan Bates. He led a race most 54 laps. Third was John Bennett. Fourth was Josh Oswald. And rounding out the top 5, that was Kiernan Church. And Corey Bigley also had the fastest lap time of the race by a wide margin. We look here today at Oxford Plains, and last week's winner, Corey Bigley, is on the top of the board. He has a best time of a 16.44, but you could throw a blanket over the top 4. Eric Tracy also ran a 16.44. He is 6 thousandths of a second off of Corey Bigley. Extremely close, and it's Dylan Bates in 3rd. He is 100th off of Corey Bigley. And in 4th, it's Aaron Abendroth. He is 300ths off of Corey Bigley. And rounding out your top 5 as well, it's Rick Rube. But most notably, that top 4, all extremely tight. I have no doubt that this will be a close race. And we could see other drivers pop in as well. It's definitely going to be a fun one here at Oxford Plains. But we do want to give a big thank you to series sponsor Kiernan Church for supporting the mini stock series. Kiernan's Gogo Juice, fictitious company, but it's one of the ways that we show here of Kiernan Church's support of the mini stock series. Definitely appreciate all that he does, and he will be competing tonight. He currently sits 8th on the board with a 16.63. You did join practice a little bit late, so he hasn't had as much time to get things dialed in as some of the other drivers. But as we wrap things up here in practice, Corey Bigley will finish things off on the top of the board, looking to try to get the pole coming up here in qualifying. One person who will really want a good qualifying run here is John Bennett. John Bennett did not turn a lap in practice, so qualifying will be his maiden voyage to try to see if he can secure some points to get closer to that championship. But here we go, the mass exodus of cars off of pit road. It's Eric Tracy heading onto the racetrack right now in car number 66. He is coming off a 6th place finish last week. Still looking for his first win of the season here in the mini stocks. Brandon Wallace from Odessa, Texas. Trying to see what he can do. There's Dylan Bates, 4-time winner this season, looking for a 5th win. He's been hard to beat in these mini stocks, but it's Eric Tracy to the top of the board with a 16.54. Josh Oswald the second, about a 10th off with a 16.65. We see Brandon Wallace is third, about 2/10 off with a 16.75. Keith Lichtenwallner trying to see what he can do. And it's Dylan Bates to the top of the board with a 16.50, putting him 200ths ahead of Eric Tracy. That knocks Josh Oswald down to third, a 10.5 off. Rick Rue getting ready to complete his first lap. We'll see what it'll be. And that's enough to put him third with a 16.56, only 600ths off of Dylan Bates. And that was actually his second lap, so Rick Rube will be in third. John Bennett, here we go, a chance at the championship on the line. A good qualifying run would certainly be helpful for him. There's Jared Fry parking it after his run. But John Bennett on his first lap heads down the backstretch, drives it into 3 and 4. Kiernan Church has put it top 5. On his second lap, he goes to second with a 16.52, but still can't quite get to that 16.49 laid down by Dylan Bates. Eric Tracy, although he has completed both of his lap times, he is staying out there, getting a little bit of extra practice time in. There's Corey Bigley out on track now, got the pole last week at the Bull Ring. Can he do it again here at Oxford Plains? And John Bennett could only muster an 8th here in qualifying. Certainly not what he needs if he wants to try to catch Dylan Bates and get the season championship. There's Tyler Rice out there, car number 6. But Corey Bigley already second on his first lap with a 16.52, only 200ths off of Dylan Bates. This is the money lap. Can Corey Bigley secure the pole? Crosses the start-finish line. What'll it be? And a 16.48. About 49, only about 100th ahead of Dylan Bates, but that's enough to get the pole. So Corey Bigley, pole sitter here for tonight's event. And I believe everyone has turned. Oh, Chuck Felt still needs to turn a lap. So we'll see if he heads out there eventually. But I want to quickly talk about the track that we are racing at tonight. Maine is the northeasternmost state of the United States, and the 14,000-seat Oxford Plains Speedway is the biggest public facility in the Pine Tree State. Opened in 1950, the facility today features street stocks, legend cars, and more. Despite the track's small circular shape, even though it's a tiny 3/8 mile oval, drivers keep coming back to experience its dizzying thrill. It only has 5 degrees banking in the turn, 0 degrees on the straightaways. It is flat as a pancake, and that makes it extremely difficult to drive. It is pretty much a perfect circle if you look at it from an aerial view. Now, of course, we are taking it on in the mini stocks here tonight, featuring the same technical specifications as its dirt oval counterpart. The mini stock is a fine, small asphalt oval race car for short oval and mile oval use, and does it really well in local races across the country. With a 2.3-liter inline 4-cylinder 2V OHC engine, making 200 horsepower, OEM strut 4-link coil springs for suspension, OEM disc and drum brakes, along with Hoosier Racing tires and a modified OEM frame, from with reinforced roll cage, the car is a near 1-to-1 exact of its dirt counterpart, with the main difference is its main use for asphalt short track and mile oval racing. Nevertheless, the similarities, the mini stock and its dirt counterpart are certainly fan favorites here on iRacing after they were recently added this year. And one thing to note is that the dirt mini stock counterpart revs up to 8,500 RPMs, while the asphalt mini stock can rev up to 70,500 RPMs. So this is the first time that Thunderstruck has ran these cars. Previously, they did a street stock series on Monday nights, but when they released the mini stocks, they switched. I've ran a lot of the races. They are a blast to drive. They're a little bit tricky to figure out, but once you can figure them out at the track, they're really fun. They're very racy, and these guys are going to certainly put on a show for you all tonight. We got a little warm-up just to give all of these drivers one last opportunity to get things dialed in before we start our feature event. I do not believe that there are any in-car adjustments that you can make here with these mini stocks. There's not much you can do, so it's really just trying to perfect your line, braking points, throttling up points, just adjusting that to try to perfect your lap. But it's John Bennett to the top of the board here in the warm-up. That's the exact kind of speed he needs if he wants to try to chip away at that point standings lead heading in to the season finale, which will be next week at Langley Speedway. So here we go. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for your feature event. Starting on the pole with a scorching out lap time of 16.486. It's the 28 of Corey Bigley. On his outside, that's Dylan Bates in the 91, your point standings leader. Third is the 22 Velocity Motorsports driver of Kiernan Church, your series sponsor. Fourth is Eric Tracy in the 66. And running at your top five, it's the 81 of Rick Rube. Sixth is Aaron Abendroth in the 65. Seventh is number 6 Oval Addicts driver of Tyler Rice. Eighth is Velocity Motorsports' Josh the Jet Oswald in the 17, the head honcho here at Thunderstruck. Ninth is the 89 Reaper Racing driver of Brandon Wallace. 10th, it's John Bennett in the 08, the one driver who can stop Dylan Bates from a championship. 11th is the 5 of Jared Fry. 12th, it's Keith Lichtenwallner in the 168. 13th is Reaper Racing's William Grifdozer Griffith in the 12. And rounding out the field in 14th, driver for Poman Motorsports, it's Chuck Pegleg Feltz in the 75. So here we go. The field is set. 14 quick mini stocks looking to see who will break in victory lane, but it's Corey Bigley, Dylan Bates, your front row. Corey Bigley looking for win number 2 on the season, not competing for anything in points, just chasing wins. As for Dylan Bates, he's chasing a championship, and a win here tonight would certainly put the final nail in the coffin heading into next week's race at Langley. But Kiernan Church, Eric Tracy, Rick Rube behind them, all drivers itching to try to get their first win of the season. And what better place to get it done than right here at Oxford Plains here in Oxford, Maine. Pace car is in, and green flag is out. We are underway for 75 laps of mini stock racing right here at Oxford Plains. It's Dylan Bates, Corey Bigley side by side as they head onto the backstretch. Right now, Bates has a lot of momentum on that outside lane, but there's Bigley, a lot better on corner exit, heading off of 4. It's going to be really close, but I believe Bigley will lead that first lap, and Bates will tuck in line behind the 28 as they head off of 2. Now Bates looks low on the backstretch. Bigley is not clear. He's got to stay up high, and there is Bates trying to get underneath him further and further. He sends it down into 1. He'll get the position, but Bigley crosses him back over off of 2. The battle continues for first. Bigley now will be able to secure the spot as they head into 3 and 4. Bates continuing to keep it close. Big run into 1 and 2. Dylan Bates trying to get to the back bumper of that 28 machine. And he gets into him. Bigley gets squirrely, causes them both to lose some momentum. And this has been the fight that we witnessed last week at the bull ring, and it continues here tonight at Oxford Plains. These two go at it every single week. Two of the best here in Thunderstruck, and they always love to put on a show, and so far, they certainly have. Dylan Bates continuing to be right all over the back bumper of the 28. Bigley trying his best to be defensive. He wants to set the pace for this race. 75 laps may seem short, but it is still plenty of time to burn up the tires and lose the car. So you still got to be really careful concerning those tires, being careful with your inputs, careful with how hard you're entering, how hard you're getting into it off the corner. These drivers still need to be mindful of all of that, despite this race being only 75 laps. I've been in a lot of these, and you can burn up the tires very quick. By lap 25, your car can start to feel the effects of tire wear pretty significantly. So that's what these top two want to avoid, and Corey Bigley, I'm sure he thinks that he can best do that by controlling the field here in that first place spot. But in order to do that, he's got to be really defensive and hold off Dylan Bates, who continues to hound him on the back bumper. Bates maybe looking to try to use that chrome horn to help assist him in getting that first place spot. But Bigley doing a good job just sealing the bottom off. You would think that these two battling so hard with each other, running so close, would kind of stack up the field, but these two have gotten away from third on back. There's Bates looking low under Bigley as they head into 3 and 4. Corey able to stay clear, but Dylan Bates is right there. He'll look low once again into 1 and 2. Can he get to Bigley's left rear? Yes, he is able to. He's at his door. Bates, good run off the corner. Still not able to get clear yet, but he will be able to snatch that first place spot as they take it off of turn number 2. Corey Bigley, though, immediately trying to get that first place spot back all over the back bumper of the 91. Loses a little bit of momentum there. Looked like he got up the racetrack a tiny bit. So now Dylan Bates is setting the pace of this race, and that's kind of the goal through these first few laps, is just who can set the pace. Because everybody wants to be able to do it. And this is kind of the biggest gap we've seen for the lead so far. Dylan Bates is trying his best to get away from Corey Bigley. Although maybe he doesn't want to, he just wants to try to manage the gap as best as possible so he can continue to hit his target lap times to save the tires while also making sure that Bigley does not get too close. There's a lot going on in the minds of these drivers right now in these early stages of the race, especially up front in this battle for the lead. Just seems like you're driving in circles, but if you ask any of these drivers, they are thinking about a ton. They're looking at a lot of different things throughout this race. Now, one of the tricky parts that I've seen some of these drivers have to deal with is that big rumble strip all across the bottom of the corners. Definitely do not want to hit that. It'll get your car all out of sorts. You want to be right up on it, but you don't want to hit it, and that is easier said than done. I've seen a lot of drivers tap it. Also makes making passes harder, because if somebody pinches you down, it's really easy to hit it, or if you really dive low into the corner, it's really easy to hit it. Makes for a really tricky aspect of this racetrack. You just got to be careful when you're running right up on it, which pretty much have to. Now the backstretch is weird because there's no walls here, so you can fly off the racetrack, you can get really high, go off into the grass. The only wall here is a front stretch wall, and I believe a wall on pit road, but turns 1 and 2, backstretch, and 3 and 4, there's nothing really for you to hit. So that can prevent a lot of drivers from having a damaged race car. And with Dylan Bates leading like this is not what John Bennett wants to see. He wants to try to get closer to this championship. But battle Dylan Bates starts to extend that lead. We look elsewhere as Kiernan Church hangs on to third place, where he started this race. He's starting to close in on Corey Bigley for second. And Bigley is starting to fall farther and farther behind from Dylan Bates. Rick Rube also right behind Kiernan Church, trying to snatch that third place spot. Rick Rube, he has Aaron Abendroth behind him. So it's kind of this mini stock train from first through fifth right now. Just waiting to see which of the cars will go off the track first. In the meantime, let's take a look and do a flyby through the field. See where your favorite driver is running. Dylan Bates controls the field right now in that first place spot. My apologies, there's a backstretch wall. I just noticed that. Second place is Corey Bigley, your pole sitter. Third, that's Kiernan Church. He hasn't really moved much all race. It's Rick Rube fourth. Aaron Abendroth in fifth. We see John Bennett is up to sixth after starting in 10th. He's the biggest mover of the race, but he needs some more spots if he wants to try to get closer to get by Dylan Bates. Then in seventh, it's Tyler Rice. Eighth, Josh Oswald. They've kind of stayed put throughout this race. Eric Tracy has had a rough go at it so far after starting fourth. He's fallen 5 spots to 9th. 10th is Brandon Wallace. 11th is William Griffith. He's up 2 spots from 13th. 12th is Jared Fry. 13th is Keith Lichtenwalner, and he's having a side-by-side battle right now with Chuck Pegleg Phelps. So it's Dylan Bates who leads the way right now here at Oxford Plains. He's got about a 7/10 lead over Corey Bigley, 30 laps into this 75-lap race. We see Aaron Abendroth trying to find a way to get by Rick Rube for this 4th place position. They are close behind Kiernan Church and Corey Bigley. Really tight racing right now from 2nd to 5th. Looks like we got a car off the racetrack. Another car crashed. Looks like Eric Tracy and Keith Lichtenwalner are having problems. I can see it on my relative, but no caution will come out. Both of them get things sorted out. So Corey Bigley keeping it close behind Dylan Bates, maybe trying to save some tires and waiting to make a run back to the lead. I mean, I would say, though, yeah, drivers are still saving a little bit, trying to conserve. It's not quite go time yet, where it's just hitting a loud pedal. Still going to be a little bit conservative. Dylan Bates is going to have to deal with some lap traffic here as he is beginning to close in on Keith Lichtenwalner. So we'll see if this plays a factor. Corey Bigley can't really use Lichtenwalner as a pick, but he can at least hope that maybe Bates gets held up. Looks like Lichtenwalner stays high, and Bates able to get by with no issue. So now it's Corey Bigley's job to get by this 168. He's still got Kiernan Church right behind him, and he gets by him pretty easily. Rick Rube getting really close to the back bumper of that 22. Keep your eye out as we continue to watch this 4-car train here. The battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. All of them trying to get close to Dylan Bates for this race lead, although maybe none of them want to. They're trying their best to save tires. Corey Bigley, based on what I'm seeing, it just looks like right now Corey Bigley is just saving those tires, trying to keep the gap relatively close between himself and Dylan Bates, and just really being careful with him so that he can make a late race run here as we approach the later stages of this one. More lap traffic for Dylan Bates to deal with. That's Chuck Feltz. Again, Corey Bigley is hoping that maybe Dylan gets a little bit held up, but Chuck goes way off the racetrack, giving the racetrack to Dylan Bates. Whoa, almost contact made there by Kiernan Church and Chuck Feltz, and that will open the door for Rick Rube. Rick Rube trying to get underneath the 22. He was hard into his back bumper. So Rick Rube looking low down the backstretch. He continues to be right there on the 22. Trying to find the right opportunity to look low. Kiernan trying to protect the bottom. And Corey Bigley has now gotten away. So it's really just the battle from third to fifth, excuse me. And Rube gets underneath them as they head into 3 and 4. He gets the spot, and following right behind him is Aaron Abendroth. Abendroth will be able to shut the door, and in very quick time, Kiernan Church goes from 3rd to 5th, knocking the 22 out of the podium. Now Rick Rube is up there in the 3rd place spot, trying to reel in your top 2. Really took advantage of that between Chuck Feltz and Kiernan Church. It looked like they just made a little bit of contact. It caused Kiernan Church to check up, and since then, Rick Rube just applied the pressure and used it to get by Church. So now Aaron Abendroth is trying to get by Rick Rube for this 3rd place spot. Staying right there on the back bumper. Both of them have gotten away from Kiernan Church, so now it went from the battle from 2nd to 5th, battle from 3rd to 5th. Now it's really just the battle for 3rd here between Rick Rube and Aaron Abendroth. The field is starting to get spread out as the laps continue to tick off. Continue to watch Aaron Abendroth try to set up something on Rick Rube. Again, we're just seeing how hard it is to pass. There's really only one groove you can run, and that's right there on the apron. Or not on the apron, but right there against that little rumble strip. You don't want to hit it, but you got to kind of be right on it, and that allows you to easily seal off the bottom of the racetrack. Corey Bigley starting to reel back in. Dylan Bates with 24 laps to go, and I would agree that this is the time where we are going to start seeing this. It is go time. If you've been saving, it is time to go back up to the field, hit that loud pedal, try to get as many spots as you can. And Corey Bigley only has one spot he can really get, and that's what he's trying to snag right now. He's gotten back right close to the back bumper of Corey Bigley. Big run off of turn number 4. And he is right there off of 2. Looking low. Bates trying to protect the bottom. They're going to have some lap traffic to deal with coming up here. Bates gives him the bumper off of 4. Does not help him any. Dylan Bates able to hang on to that 1st place spot. They're getting closer to the lap traffic. Can Corey Bigley use William Griffith as a pick here? And with Griffith being on the outside, Bates couldn't get the arc that he wanted. So Bigley gets really close to the back bumper because of that. He takes advantage of that. Oh, Bates clips the bottom of the rumble strip. That gets him squirrely. And so Corey Bigley is staying right there on the back bumper of the 91. Less than 20 laps to go. Coming to 18 laps to go in this one here at Oxford Plains. We see Dylan Bates starting to get away from Corey Bigley a little bit. Looking elsewhere, Aaron Abendroth has fallen behind from Rick Rubin. Now Kiernan Church trying to get by him. And whoa, yellow flag is out. This late race caution could change some things. First caution of the race. That's going to bring us to a late race shootout. So here's the incident. We're watching Chuck Phelps. He's running side by side with Keith Lichtenwalner heading onto the backstretch. To me, that's just a racing deal. I mean, Chuck looked like he came up a little bit. Lichtenwalner looked like he came down a little bit. They met, and Phelps just went across Keith's nose, goes into the mound of dirt. Dang, that's a wild ride. But no wall, so very minimal damage there to the 75. We've got some cars. So Brandon Wallace is on the pit road, getting some damage fixed. So is Chuck Phelps. So we'll see how many laps we have left. Still have 12 cars on the lead lap, 12 cars with a chance to win this one still. But all eyes are on your top two, Dylan Bates and Corey Bigley. They were battling hard when that caution flag came out. Who will it be? Dylan Bates with this win, that would certainly lock up a championship for him. Especially because the driver that he's competing with, John Bennett, is all the way in that 9th place spot. So here we go. We're going to have an 11-lap shootout. Dylan Bates, Corey Bigley are front row. It's reversed from the start of this race. Rick Rube, Aaron Abendroth, Kiernan Church, watch out behind them. They're all hungry for their first win of the season. But it's Dylan Bates launching off up through the gears as they head into turns 1 and 2. He gets a big jump over Corey Bigley. He's trying his best to get down, and he does right in front of that back bumper of Rick Rube. Rick Rube will take that 2nd place spot. So now Rube trying to find his way by Corey Bigley as they approach 10 laps to go now. Corey Bigley trying his best to catch Dylan Bates, but can he do it? Right now, Rube is starting to close the gap, though. Bigley, 9 laps to try to get his 2nd win of the season. Just trying to find any sort of way to get by this 91, waiting for a mistake or trying to find some sort of weakness that Bates has. Eight laps to go. Time continues to tick away, and Dylan Bates is starting to extend that gap a little bit for this race lead. Elsewhere, Eric Tracy trying to get by Kiernan Church for this 4th place spot. Church had fallen all the way down to 9th at one point, but now we see he is starting to get closer to Kiernan Church, and he's worked his way up to 5th, so he can get a top 5 at the least. Looking for more, though. Church, as for him, he's trying to catch Rick Rube for this 3rd place spot. But we continue to see, can Corey Bigley catch Dylan Bates? I don't think that he can. I mean, Bates has about a 4/10 lead right now, 5 laps to go. And I have no doubt that Corey Bigley is giving it all he's got. Dylan, I don't know if he was expecting Dylan Bates to have done this well of a job saving, but I think time maybe has ran out. Still, anything can happen. We continue to watch with 3 laps to go. Dylan Bates, Corey Bigley battle for the lead here. Bigley just waiting for any kind of mistake from Corey Bigley that he can take advantage of. Could see a final spot on the podium swap between Rick Rube and Kiernan Church. Church all over the back bumper of the 81 as they take it off at 2. He is right there. Final lap. Does Corey Bigley have anything left in the tank? Dylan Bates not home free yet, but it's looking good. As he heads down the backstretch, no. I don't think Bigley can catch him. Bates off of 4, gonna lock up a championship here. He will win at Oxford Plains. Corey Bigley brings it home second. Rick Rube able to hold off Kiernan Church. He will finish third. And I will do some quick math here. To see what the points look like. And yeah, after this one, Dylan Bates will have a 22-point lead. This win will seal the deal for his mini stock championship. If you look at the math. So Dylan Bates, 5 wins. What's been a dominant mini stock season. But we'll pull up the results here, see where your favorite driver finished. And we will take a look now at your, whoa, that was cool. Take a look now at your starting lineup, or excuse me, at your top 3 interviews. First, let's have a chat with Rick Rube. Rick, this is Zatlin, the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Rick, this is Zatlin, the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Allie.
Awesome. Well, good run tonight here at Oxford Plains. I know he had a lot of battling going on in that top 5. Able to bring it home third, but it was a hard fight between you and Kieran and Aaron and Corey for a little bit there from 2nd to 5th, and you're able to hold them all off, and especially Corey there on that last, green flag run. You're able to hold him off. Couldn't quite get to the top 2, but did a great job maintaining your spot there on the podium. So just walk us through this race. Only one caution. It was kind of a race of attrition.
Yeah, you really had to be careful on the right front tire. If you used that up, you were going backwards. And it's tough to pass here unless somebody gets out of line. And I was lucky that I got a nose under Kiernan early and gained a spot, which helped on the restart because it put me on the inside so I didn't get shuffled back. And that's what you got to make sure you don't get stuck on the outside and get shuffled.
Yeah, it looked like this was just kind of a one-groove racetrack, just kind of keeping it right on that rumble strip. But you mentioned just the key to not burning up that right front. I think a lot of drivers fell victim to that tonight. So, what was the key to preventing that?
You just really had to get off the corner straight and easy. You can drive it in, but coming off, you have to be late on the gas. Make sure you're straight. Not a lot of turning coming off.
Now, before I let you go, Rick, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Well, I want to obviously thank the Islander Inn. They helped me out a lot. Kiernan's Gogo Juice, samalley.com, Flexible Freight Solutions, and Jet Designs, and Thunderstruck for putting these races on, and you guys for broadcasting. Appreciate that.
It's always fun, especially with this mini stock series. So congratulations on the podium, Rick. Have a great rest of your night.
All right, thanks. You too.
Now let's pull in your 2nd place finisher. Let's talk to Corey Bigley. Corey, this is Atlanta Broadcast Booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I know that was probably not the finish that you wanted, but started this race on the pole, ran a great lap there in qualifying, and saw you and Dylan were just battling up front for the first half. Fell to second after he got by you, and I thought, you were just saving there, just trying to maintain that gap, and got back close to him, had that late race restart, and you just couldn't find a way by him. So, obviously second, still really good run, but is there anything you think you could have done differently to get one spot more?
Yeah, I didn't need that caution to come out because the thing got really tight after that, like tighter than I didn't like. And then I started overdriving a little later on in the run, just trying to get back to him. But yeah, I was kind of just keeping like you said, I fell back to second, just trying to keep the pace with him and just not trying to kill my right front tire and just trying to be easy on it. Because like I just kept, it was fun. We crossed each over like twice, and I'm like, yeah. And then I got out front, and then I just kind of was just kind of slow pacing it a little bit, and he was just trying to stay with me. Like he would bump me because it's short track. You're gonna bump somebody up the racetrack. He bumped me up the racetrack. I knew he was there, and I just lifted and fell behind him. And then I knew I didn't want to be out front. I know I wanted to be out front, but I didn't really want to because if you pace too hard, you'll kill your reference tire here. And I just like pacing. He had a little bit more tire at the end, but I just tried to overdriving it at the end. But that's the only thing. But I still was still same exact speed as he was at the end. It would have been too hard to get by him.
Now, again, doing a note, started on the pole for another week, got it last week at the bullring, got it here at Oxford Plains. Now, this track's flat as a pancake, really tricky. What was the key to running that lap?
You just can't overdrive it here. You got to just soft it in so easy. And then, because I overdrove it the first lap, and then I just softened it in the second lap, and that's when I ran the fast lap, and just had a ton of I had a ton of wheel and just had it hammered down, had carry more enough speed, and that's how I beat Bates on the. Because you got to be careful with the curb. That curb will bite you, and that I think I got it the first lap, and then second lap I just got close enough where I didn't hit it, and because it will shove the nose if you hit it, and I didn't hit it the second time. It just carried enough roll speed, and these cars you really just want to have roll speed, and just so it don't kill the right front tire either in qualifying.
Now, before we let you go, Corey, is there any sponsors or shout outs?
Just Josh for putting us on. You got you. I know Alex is not here for broadcasting it, and I think is this one Kiernan's. I think
Yes.
yeah, Kiernan's sponsored the series, and yeah, it's just and then all my VMS guys. It's just fun racing with them.
And I know we always like to talk with you about your real life racing stuff. I know this last weekend was the Bill Bigley Memorial 128. Ty Majeski won it. I know that's a special race for your family. Is there anything you want to talk about with that?
Yes, we were struggling with my brother. Like my brother, it wasn't bad struggle. How close it was from 20th to 29th because we qualified 29th. It was 400ths. We only missed the field, and we got the last provisional. We were 28th. We started. My brother did, and my brother started coming. Like the car was really good early, and he just said he was just trying to just just maintain and get by people. He started maintaining about 55 in. We got up to 11th, and then about 20 laps later, my brother got to. We had one more caution. I think lap 80, my brother got up to ninth, and then with about because we had a caution about 30 to no that after lap 80, my brother was starting to roll. He was the only one going up top, and because he was the one only running up top in the 3 and 4, and we started rolling by people. My brother started rolling by, and we got all the way up to fifth, and that's our best finish at Freedom Factory this year. Like this year, the whole because you only went twice. We finished sixth, the tune up, and then fifth this year. But my brother's best finish in the big lead is 2 fourths. But yeah, we're just a little off on qualifying speed, but we have really good long run, and that car just showed up at the end, and nobody else was running up top, and you got to go where they are not.
Man, thank you for sharing that. I know I was watching Race in America for the Thanksgiving Classic this week, and I'm like, oh man, that's Corey's family's race. So that's cool that your brother did well on that, and definitely thank you for sharing that. But again, good run tonight here in the mini stock series. Have a great night, Corey.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, and he had the hard charger from dead last to fifth. Yep. And we just wanted one more caution, maybe get a top 30. But yep, we're gonna get that thing tuned up a little more better and try to go for the win next year. Try to for the 10th year.
Awesome. Well, definitely y'all got it going on real life here on iRacing. So congrats on everything, Corey. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
And now let's talk to your race winner for the 5th time this season, Dylan Bates. Dylan, this is Atlee in the broadcast booth. They got a copy.
I got you.
Awesome. Well, getting it done for the 5th time this season, continuing your dominance here in the mini stocks. I know heading into this race, there was still a potential fight for the championship between you and John Bennett, but you sealed that tonight with the race win here at Oxford Plains. I know you and Corey were battling up front for a little bit. He fell back trying to save tires, but once that caution came out, you just started to get away from him and end up finishing with about a 4/10 lead. So just walk us through that race and how you got it done for the 5th time this season.
Yeah, I kind of knew that I was either going to have to get Corey really early there, or I was going to have to sit behind him and ride for a while. So I kind of went after him there at the drop of the green and got by him. And then we kind of crossed each other over a couple of times, and I knew that I was going to end up using my tires up. So I just kind of calmed down a little bit, tucked in line, and was able to sneak up his inside and got around him. And I think he actually did a little better job saving tires through the middle part of the run than I did, and kind of came back to me there. But luckily the caution came out and kind of let me get a good jump on the start and get away.
Now, I know you've won at a lot of different tracks this season, a lot of different track types. Oxford Plains, very unique, really flat, only 5 degrees of banking. So, I mean, what was the key for having good race pace here tonight?
You got to be really consistent here and make sure you run the same line over and over. You got to keep those left sides right against that curb. But if you hit that curb, it really messes your lap up quick. So it's just all about being consistent and being precise, and you just got to do that the whole race.
Now, before I let you go, Dylan, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Just got to thank Kiernan's Gogo Juice for sponsoring this series, and Josh Oswald for putting it on, you for broadcasting tonight, and all the guys at VMS Motorsports.
Awesome. Well, congrats on another one, Dylan. Have a great night.
Thank you, man.
Well, that will do it for tonight's event one more time. Congratulations to Dylan Bates on his 5th win of the season. I want to give a big thank you to Kiernan Church for sponsoring this series. And got to give a big thank you to league owner Josh Oswald and all of the league admins for all that they do for this series, helping it run smoothly. I want to give a big thank you to you, the viewer, for tuning in to watch tonight. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, as that would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to reach our goals of 2,500 followers on Facebook, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 1,000 followers on Twitch. Check out our Twitter page, Intensity Broad 1. We are always dropping polls and interacting with our viewers on there. And check out our web store, intensitybroadcasting.com. There we have merchandise, Intensity Broadcasting merchandise, and we can also do custom screen printing and custom printing for your business, race team, event, whatever you need merchandise for, whether it's shirts, hoodies, hats. We would be happy to make it for you, so contact us at Intensity Apparel and Broadcasting on Facebook or on our website, and we can get some merchandise made for you. But as regards to this mini stack series, we've got the season finale next week at Langley. The championship battle has been wrapped up here tonight with Dylan Bates, but we still have some other exciting points battles on the line for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and beyond, and could certainly see a new winner to close out the season at Langley, so you're not going to want to miss that. The season finale one last time with these mini stocks. Make sure to turn on your notification bell so you do not miss when we go live next Monday. I'm Atlee Weist on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Over and out.